Today I'm going to try to make a full techno track using randomly selected samples only. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to randomly select samples in Ableton Live, and every time I find a sample I'm forced to use it. I cannot use any other sounds, I cannot use any sounds from other sources like soft synths or whatever. It's only gonna be those sounds. So for me this is a nice exercise, a way to spark some creativity and get away from the beaten path. Try something new. So let's see what I can come up with in this session. Right, so I have an Ableton Live project open and I've just created 8 empty MIDI tracks. What I will do here is I'll go to the browser, the sample browser. It has basically all the samples from Ableton Live suite, as well as a bunch of my own samples. And I'm gonna put the cursor here in the top bar, close my eyes and just type 1 or 2 or 3 letters and see what comes out, and the first thing I land on I'm gonna have to use. So here it goes, I close my eyes, I promise, random letters. And we get 3 samples here. I'll just load up the first one on the first track here and we'll see what this actually is. So I'll create a clip and so sort of a nasal synth sound. So what can I do with this? I'm just going to create some sort of an arpeggio and I'm just going to draw in some notes here and make this up as I go along. So a 6-note sequence repeating. Let's see what that gets us. We have a filter here in the simpler device. We can use that to shape the sound. I'll just leave this for what it is right now and let's just move on. Again, put the cursor here in the top bar, close my eyes. And we get this. What kind of sound is this? Some weird noise. Maybe I can turn this into a sub bass. Let's see. I'll just make a very simple 8th note pattern here and lower the filter frequency on the low pass. I think this is actually a decent bass rumble. Let's get rid of this clicking. I'll just put a low pass, something like this. Okay, moving on to the next track again. Put the cursor here, close my eyes, type something else. That narrows it down. Dastardly bass, it is called. Wow. Lots of different notes here. Let me just quickly draw some notes in this clip and scroll through them, see what kind of notes there are in this particular sample. I'll solo it for now. Wop wop. Sort of quacking synth bass sound. Let's see if I can turn this into a kick drum. I'll lower the pitch here on the notes, which I conveniently placed in the 4 to the floor pattern. Lengthen the release. And now we need some pitch modulation. So kick drum, of course, created by applying a pitch envelope, which goes from a very high rise and falls quickly. So envelope amount. Ooh. As you can hear immediately, it's sounding like a kick drum. I'll shorten the decay a little bit here. Yeah, let's combine that with a filter envelope. So filter envelope. I'm going to lower these notes a little bit. Lower the fundamental. Let's see how it sounds in context. Just rearranging this, the kick on the first track, the sub bass on the second and the synth on the third. Let's just listen to the kick and the sub bass together. Let's tune it a little bit more. I mean, it's not winning any awards for kick drum. Maybe higher is better, let's see. And let's put some fake sidechain on the sub bass here with LFO tool. Get them pumping up this jam. There we go. Now combined with the synth here, I'll add some reverb and delay on sense here to the synth sound. Yeah, and what I'll do to this is I'll do some filter envelope as well. So lower the filter cutoff, envelope amount. Yeah, here we go. And that's a basic little riff there. Okay, moving on. Track number 4. Selecting more random samples. Something called Air Deep. I've made a 16th note pattern. And I'm going to throw on a big reverb here and make this into sort of a drone-like sound. So nice Valhalla room, I go to reverb. I'm going to lengthen the decay time and the depth to make it more washy. And let's see. I'm going to borrow the fake sidechain from the sub bass channel here and put it on this as well. And to add some color, I will do some modulation effect here. I like phasers nowadays. I'm into phasers. There are some basic but good presets here. This one, for instance. Tweak that a little bit. And that's another sound. 4 tracks down, 4 to go. Of course, I can add more, starting with 8 here, but I can add as many as I want, as long as they are random samples. Let's go. Samples. Close my eyes again. Don't look. Basic CJW. I think that's Quayman. Quayman, very fancy synth. Quayman, I don't know. Now, one trick I like to do is very aggressive filtering. So this is a very low sub note here. But what I can do is I can filter out all the low end, and what you'll have left is this crackle sound. So let's see what that gets us. I'll solo the track here. Just aggressively high pass filter that, and then you get like a crackling rhythm sound. Yeah, and I'm going to make that into an 8th note pattern here by lengthening, shortening the notes and copying them. And let's get a little bit creative with this and add some effects like Decapitator, the most evil sounding plugin in my arsenal, I think, with the punish button, different flavors of distortion here. And I'll just add another one and go completely over the top here. I like this. Maybe soften the attack a little bit of the sound here. It sounds absolutely disgusting. Get a little bit of a noisy background crackle going. I like to put that just next to the kick and the sub, like the basic sounds that are always going. Okay, moving on to track 7. I need some percussion sounds now, so I hope I get a little bit lucky with a more noisy kind of sample. Let's see what happens here. Close my eyes again, type in something. Dudgeon.aif. Oh, that sounds kind of percussive. Let's see. Ah, it's definitely a drum sound. Not a hi-hat or a cymbal, but I'll have to take it, right? Let's shorten this a little bit. And add some variation to this. For instance, with an LFO, which is synced, randomized 16 steps to the pitch, something. Or to the filter. Changing the character a little bit, volume as well. Perhaps some random panning. Let's see if this doesn't have too much low end. Filter it out a little bit. Sort of clicky percussive thing we have here. Does add something. Okay, that's another track done. Moving on to 8. Again, close my eyes. Clap. Oh, am I lucky or not? Finally something. Actually, I'm not looking for a clap sound, but I can use this. For instance, something like more like a hi-hat. Oh, that's a hi-hat. What do you know? Pitch your clap real high, you get a hi-hat. Okay, 8 tracks, but we're not done yet. I'll just create a new one here and do the same thing all over again. Shall I go with this? 80 fishy. That's definitely a special kind of sound. Little sequence here, I guess. Yeah, quite a bunch of notes. Let's see what we can do with this. If you pitch it really high, this whole sequence becomes basically one note. You can do that also by transposing 4 octaves. Now let's see what we get. Extreme pitching is a nice solution to getting sounds that you don't know what to do with. At some points it becomes a noise basically, like a little shaker or something. Yeah, this one. Yeah. And of course you can shape it a little bit more with the envelope here. Let's put on the high pass filter here. And what I'll do here is I'll put some random velocity in. So select all the notes, press randomize here. This is a kind of an extreme effect. Let's see how this grooves with the kick and the sub. And I'll bring down the amount of velocity that controls the volume to something around 10%. And that works. If I put it up high, it's too erratic, but around 10%. It gets a nice constant groove, but with some accents or something like that in it. Okay, well, we're nearing the end of the sound creation phase basically. I'll do 1 or 2 more just because it's so much fun, and it's better to have too many sounds and leave out a few later on than having not enough. Okay, so again, put the cursor here, close my eyes. Ooh, another drum-like sound, percussive sound here. Also pitched. That gets drowned out in the rest of the mix. Okay, another one. Arctic Shift. Ooh, I got lucky there. That's a really cool drone sound. Yeah, that's gonna come in very handy. Very strange, disorienting sort of harmonic thing going on there, which is good for techno. Let's solo this out. Ooh, eerie. I love it. Now going into the reverb, I'll give it some auto panning to add some movement. Putting it before the reverb is really nice. You get this movement and the reverb partially washes it out again. It's just nice. Beautiful. Let's filter out the low end. 11 sounds. Shall I go for 12th one? Why not? Why not? I already had this one or not? No, I don't think so. No, I think I did. Yeah. Okay, let's try another one then. I guess I typed the same letters in. I'll just go with the second one. Bolivar skewed, whatever that is. Another little sound. Okay, so I have collected 12 different tracks with randomized sounds, shaped them into something that could be usable for a techno track. Now I'm going to turn those into an arrangement, and I will see you on the other side of that. Okay, so I've made an arrangement and now I will do a playthrough and talk you through everything that I did here. I did some automation and also I created another part. So before we do the playthrough, I will show you this part that I resampled. So what I did, I took the hi-hat sound, which was a clap sample if you remember, and I pitched it down, resampled it into this here, and I'll just turn off the effects. And then basically made a MIDI sequence. I'll solo it. This really heavily pitched down clap sound. I put it through a redux, bitrate reduction, a reverb, an aggressive high pass filter here, and an LFO tool. Gets us this hissing, noisy, cymbal-like sound. I call it a cymbal. It sort of isn't that, but it does that job. So that's the part I added. Still made from the same sample that I selected here, or randomly selected here for the hi-hat sound. Okay, so the playthrough from the beginning. Let's go. So this is our synth ARP, and I did some filter automation here to keep it a little bit lively. Also what you're hearing is the drone. This was a higher drone, I pitched it down. I pitched the notes down here. I think 2 octaves. And then we get this sound coming in. I put some filter on it, some low pass filter here, which I also automated. Actually, let me do that here in the end as well. Nice effect. And then the shaker sound is going here. Shaker sound which I made by aggressively pitching up some sound, which wasn't actually a noisy sound to begin with. Okay, after this little break here with the high pass filter on the kick and the sub bass, that's automated here. We get into the hi-hat sound, it's joining us, and these 2 tuned percussion sounds. You can hear them, tidding, 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 tidding. The other one is a little bit more subtle. And then this drone is sort of rising here in volume, the distant drone sound that I made. And in this breakdown here with a high pass kick, and then just no low end. It's growing, and then we go into the part where I added this cymbal-like sound, noisy, moving sound. I'll turn it down a little bit. And this is actually always a really nice thing to get that sort of speed, sort of that moving, dynamic, what do you call it? I call it like the steam train that just keeps rolling on. One of the things I love about techno. So in this drop here, some of the parts were literally dropped, and now they're coming back in again with the drone. This tuned percussion that sort of comes and goes a few times. And now we move towards a big breakdown here in the middle. No beat. Volume automating here with the shaker and the cymbal as well here. I can show you the curve here. Those are slowly disappearing, whereas the reverb on the main synth here is growing. And now we go to sort of, I think you call it a fake out drop, where instead of having everything come in, it sort of dials back the energy a little bit. Actually, all the breaks and drops in this track follow this pattern. This is one of those things that I could change if I decide to work on this more. Change the moments, and of course I can also add parts, remove parts, and if I decide to release this track, work on it more, maybe I won't gonna be sticking to the rule of using only the random samples. I will be adding stuff. It's just the random sample thing is just to get the creativity going, right? To get started somewhere. And it's, like I said in the beginning, it's been very useful for me as a technique doing this. Okay, so this is not the most inspired arrangement. I have to admit there's a lot of repetition going on here, and I would be doing things to make it a little bit more interesting if I were to pursue this track further. So we go to the last big break with the high pass here, and again the classic trick of opening up filters, opening up sends to the reverb and the delay. It's all pretty standard, but you know, it works. Again, the volume rise here in the distant pad sound, adding to the intensity. Actually, let's keep this going here. Let's keep the cymbal going for a little bit more. Yeah. And then in another 4 bars or so, the hi-hat and the cymbal will be dropping out. And immediately you feel like things are winding down. The shaker's going to be falling away as well. It's actually quite loud, this shaker. I'll dial it back a little bit. And then the last 8 bars are basically without the kick in the sub. Things really winding down now, coming to a close. And that is the track. So that was creating a track from only random samples. In one session I didn't have a choice. I used the samples that I had to. I didn't use any additional sounds. I did apply some tricks like the resampling and the very extremely high or low pitching to get a different character of the sound. And that's actually a very useful technique. And I did a lot of other stuff, as you were able to see. In any case, I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please like and subscribe. That really helps. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Bye bye.